Hello and welcome to the Noise Brigade podcast. We are Bobby and Tom. This is our latest episode. Imagine that, 2 in 1 week.
Yeah, two in a row. Two. I think it wasn't even 24 hours ago that we finished the other one. So yeah, here we are, bringing you some more noise. And what are we talking about today?
Today we are gonna start talking about some movies, man. So obviously, the last year hasn't been great for the movie industry. It's been kind of good for. Hold on, let me get Lily out of here. Lily, take your toy out. Yeah, my dog decided that, they're recording, so we need to make squeaky noises.
That's
Um,
Lily can be our guest, our
yeah.
mascot. So
Hi.
there you
Hi,
go.
you gonna be the guest today? All right, take the toy out. Go ahead. Here you go. Take so it's an orange bowl with squeakies in it. It's named Dorito. So
Oh, there you go.
yeah, we've got all right, Doritos in the other room now. So anyway, back to the topic at hand. I can hear squeaking it like a bastard out there. Um, so all right, we're gonna talk about movies. Movie theaters are reopening, and we've got some good stuff coming up. Some stuff that when I was doing this list, I was surprised it was actually coming out this year. I thought we were going to have to wait a little bit longer, but without any further ado, let's jump in. Now we're going to skip obviously anything that's come out up to now. I'm going to hit two from June because they look interesting. Well, one of them looks interesting. The other one looks like a hot piece of hot garbage, but I know people like it, so we're just going to mention it and go with it. So, all right. So the first one I've got on the list is The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard.
Yeah, and it's funny you put this on here, and I didn't even had heard of this movie, but yeah, tell us a little bit about this one. Who's in this one?
So this is Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson reprising their roles from the first movie, which was The Hitman's Bodyguard. It also introduces Salma Hayek, and I could be wrong on this. I'm pretty sure she plays Samuel L. Jackson's wife. Um, and so I've never seen the first one. I saw the trailer for this one, and I've seen the trailer for the first one, and they both looked really good. So I'm hoping that they're both, I'm hoping that they're both pretty good. I'm hoping to check out the first one soon and try and get a feel for the second one. But the trailer for the second one was really good too. Trailer for the
Yeah,
first one was good. I just never saw it.
I hadn't watched the first one, and I hadn't even realized, obviously, like I said, that this was even coming out. Um, I'm a big fan of anything with Ryan Reynolds in it. Samuel L. Jackson, of course, and even Salma Hayek. So, I mean, this looks like a nice star-studded cast. Definitely something I will eventually check out. I don't go to the theater much these days. COVID aside or anything, I just wasn't doing it a whole lot. Well prior to that, as my kids were pretty young, when I would go see a movie, it was certainly not anything like this. So, not one I'll be checking out in the theater, but it does look like a cool cast, and yeah, I definitely it'd be something I want to check out.
All right. So our second one we've got on here in June. Um, Not something that I'm going to see. I'm pretty sure I'm not the target demographic anyway, so they don't really give a crap. But it's the latest in the Fast and the Furious franchise. I believe it's called F9. Like I said, no desire to see it, and even less so after I found out this update, which is Cardi B is in it. So
Yeah,
even if I
yeah.
was going to see it now, I'm definitely not.
Right. Yeah, I'm not a fan. She's obviously just in there for trying to pull more audience in, um, with her own star power that people that might be on the fringe. I don't know. But I look, I'm a big fan of the original movie. And I've seen a good part of all the other ones up through the eighth one. I can't say that I've seen all of them. However, I don't just go run out to the theater on these movies. I wait till they hit a streaming service. I wait till it's on something I'm already paying for. I pop myself some popcorn and I watch an action movie. Um, I'm not running out to the theater for this one. I just like I didn't for the seventh one, the eighth one, whatever. Even to that point, anything that I've watched after Paul Walker has passed away is just not great. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not, obviously this isn't necessarily something that I'm going to be all about, but it's a popcorn movie. I'll check it out whenever it gets to whatever service it hits, and
Right.
I'm not paying the $20 for it all. I'll just pay my monthly fee on it and be done with it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can't say that I've ever seen a whole Fast and the Furious movie. The first 2, when I was at Stockton, they used to be on the Stockton channel all the time, and I've seen bits and pieces, but even with just those ones, which from what I gathered, they were more grounded in reality as far as these movies are grounded in reality. Um, and ever since then, it's gotten just more and more absurd. And
Oh, too way over the top. Yeah. If you ever get the chance, I'd recommend the first one just in the sheer fact that it is a pretty good movie for the time. As we're talking 20 years ago now. Um, but then after that, it just whatever. So, all right, let's move into July.
yeah, let's
Uh,
get into
the,
July. There's some good ones here.
yeah, the next one you have here is The Forever Purge. You had a note on here that you'd never seen any of these movies, and guess what? I never have either. And I'm gonna skip this one too because guess what? Never saw the first, second, or however many of these movies there are. I know there's a TV show. I know this has a huge following.
Is there a TV show?
Well, I think there is. Yeah, pretty sure there's a TV show now.
Huh.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
there's a
mean, it, it's something that I always joke about, like as far as I wish there could be a quote unquote um, customer service purge where for one day people who work in the service industry or any kind of customer service we have to deal with people, you get to treat people the way they treat you. Um, just as kind of like an eye-opening experience for them. Not that would probably change the way they treat people because for treat them like that in the first place, they're probably garbage. But I joke around about that, but the idea of a movie of it, I don't know, man. And this one, so basically, this one takes place, I guess, after the first purge, and um, you know, one of the states that if there was ever a purge, there's a couple states that I could picture um, just never stopping, and one of them is Florida, the other's Texas, and Texas is the basis of this one, where um, Texans decide that one day a year isn't good enough for a purge and they decide that it's going on forever. So this is about the Mexican government opening up their borders and allowing Texans to flee into Mexico. Uh, so
wow.
I thought that was kind of funny. But again, I'll be skipping this one. It's
Yeah.
another hard pass.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the next one. This looks cool, and this looks cool just based on the cast.
Yeah.
The Tomorrow War. And there's a couple of people in here that I really enjoy. So go ahead on this one. Who's in this movie? Because I'm curious to hear your take on this.
So this one's going to be streaming on Prime, which is excellent because I have Prime. It stars Chris Pratt. So if you don't know who Chris Pratt is, I don't know what to say.
We can't help you.
Yeah, it's got Yvonne Strahovski, who is from Chuck. She was also, I think she did some voice work for Mass Effect 2. She's been in a ton of stuff. She's awesome. J.K. Simmons, who again, another awesome at
Well versed
everything
actor.
he
Yep.
does. He's got a huge range. Um, he's been everything from the voice of the creator of GLaDOS in Portal 2, and I think maybe Portal 1. I know definitely Portal 2, he was Cave Johnson. Um, and of course, everyone's favorite J. Jonah Jameson from Spider-Man movies. And then anything else you think of, he's done something with it. I can almost guarantee it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
He's an actor. You might not recognize his name, but once you see his face, you've seen him
oh
in
yeah.
something.
And then Betty Gilpin. And Betty Gilpin is probably the least known name on this, I would venture. I could be wrong. Um, but she was in Glow, which if you haven't seen Glow on Netflix, watch it. It was an absolute blast. Sadly,
Yes.
it's cut short. It ends on a cliffhanger. Um, there was talks of a movie happening, but to finish it out, but who knows at this point.
Yeah, no, I was a big Glow fan myself, so I was excited to see her included in this. For those of you who don't recognize her name, she plays Liberty Bell in Glow, so she is that actress from that TV show. But this, yeah, you have a note here. Time travelers come back from the year 2051 to recruit soldiers for a war in the future, which humanity is losing, and they're losing it badly against aliens. So Sounds cool. I like the cast. This is definitely something I have Prime as well, so I will most likely pop this on as soon as it hits.
Yeah, and the beauty of it is, since it's streaming on Prime, it's gonna be free for anybody that has Prime. It's not like you have to pay extra like the next movie we're gonna talk about, where even if you're paying for the service, you have to pay to watch it on the service. Which not to get too far off topic, but that's one of the things I love about HBO Max. Is HBO Max you pay and you get to watch everything that's on it. There's no like nickel and dime in you. And it's not a nickel and dime for this next service when you want to watch a movie that's new. So
Right.
why don't you jump on this one?
Okay. So the very next one is something that that I think has been in the works for quite some time. Black Widow. I'm looking forward to this one just on this sheer fact that it's been way too long since we've had a Marvel movie. I've recently started going straight back through this last iteration of the MCU, kind of in order based on timeline, with the kids, and we're I think up to Iron Man 3 now.
Okay.
So we're kind of cutting back through them. I've seen all those movies, but we're just kind of rewatching and doing them in order to kind of pick up different things and such. So anyway, I digress. Really looking forward to this one, mainly because like I said, it's been too long. I mean, this was obviously one of those that was kind of derailed from COVID, and it just delayed, whatever. But here we are. We actually have a release date, and it's next month.
Yeah.
So go ahead on your take because I know you're a huge Marvel person. So
Yeah, man. So I mean, this one to me is going to be fun. It digs a little bit deeper into Marvel lore. There's some characters that I never thought. I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. When I was growing up, even when I was in college, I never thought that comic book movies would take off the way they did. Granted, we had just seen X-Men and we had just seen Spider-Man, Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies come out, and they came out and did really well, but I never thought we'd get to the point where I'm seeing Taskmaster and Red Guardian and not just one, but two Black Widows showing up on screen together. Um, it's cool, man. It's super cool. And some of the other movies we're going to talk about on this list are even deeper cuts, but personal. Some of them have some personal favorites of mine. And I'm just super stoked about it. I'm super, super happy to see this finally coming out. I'm excited about it. All the buzz about it has been great, and I'm really happy to see this movie finally coming out and seeing where, because this is going to inform some of the future of the Marvel universe, even though it's a prequel, so to speak. So
right.
we'll see. We're going to hopefully see some cool stuff, and I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think almost no matter what, that movie's going to do pretty well for itself, just based on the fact that it's a Marvel movie and it's the first one we've had in quite some time. The next one is Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Yeah, new legacy of crap.
Yeah,
This is one that I don't think needed a sequel.
no, no. What's your take on this? Then I'll share mine.
So, I mean, I think that the characters look cool. Um, I think that the the whole buzz about where people were getting upset because they made um, Lola Bunny quote unquote not sexy was one of the dumbest movie controversies I've ever heard in my life. It's a friggin' cartoon, dude. Like, why are we trying to make her look sexy in the first place? This is supposed to be a kid's cartoon. So I thought that was stupid. I don't like LeBron. There's really nothing drawing me into this movie. Um, I really, I don't know, dude. I don't see a need for it, and it's very unlikely that I'll be watching it. It'll be on HBO Max, so eventually I'll probably watch it at some point, but it's not something that I'm like, oh man, I can't wait till this comes out.
Yeah. Now, like the first one's a classic. I can honestly say though, when that hit, I was probably 13, 14 years old, something like that. So I was at the point, to me anyway, I was just outside target audience because I'd already been watching more, heavier content at that point. I think I was in theater watching like Die Hard with a Vengeance. So like that, to me at that point, it was a little out of my, but that movie's a classic. They didn't need to or I say redo it. They didn't need this sequel, whatever you want to call it. I'll stick with the original Space Jam. LeBron does absolutely nothing for me, and he hasn't for a very long time. I just don't like him. I don't care for the attitude, and whatever. Yeah, he's a great basketball player. That's his deal. I'm not just not a fan of some of the outside of the ring, like he's a wrestler. We talk wrestling so much on here that I just get
Yeah.
stuck in my head. I'm just not a fan of his. Like I said, I respect his work on the court. I think he's a great basketball player. But personally, I just not a fan of his.
Yeah.
And I won't be partaking in this one.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
all right, go
On to
ahead.
the next one. This is a movie I had no idea it was even coming out. Like I had heard, I remember hearing rumblings that they were going to make it. I had no clue. So this is Snake Eyes, GI Joe Origins.
Yeah, this seemed interesting. I didn't put anything on here, but I liked what you said about this because I was kind of the same thing. That you're going to wait and see what people say about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
I mean, I went to the theater for the first two GI Joe movies, and I was I don't honestly I don't know what I was expecting, but I guess I was expecting better than what we got, and I guess the second one was better than the first one, I thought. Um, Hopefully this one's really good because Snake Eyes is my favorite GI Joe character. But either way, I'm not going to be too upset if this one sucks because it's not something I'm super invested in anymore. It's not like they're making, uh, you know, I don't know. It's not like this is Spider-Man and they're casting like um, LeBron James to be Spider-Man. Like
right, right,
I don't
right.
know. I couldn't go with. I couldn't find a good one there. All right, so it's not like it's not like they're making a movie about the Jersey Devil and they're turning him into a swarm of bees. Like this
Yeah,
one, they could do pretty much whatever they want, and just as long as it's a good movie, it's cool. Um, and it really would. The cool thing to me is, you don't really know too much of the whole background of Snake Eyes because pretty much as far as I remember, even from the comic books and stuff, he was a silent ninja. He had taken an oath of silence, and he wore a mask, and you never saw him without the mask, and you never heard him talk. So the only thing you really had was like this silent badass. Um, and you didn't really know too much aside from him, and he and Storm Shadow had some beef at one point.
right. Yeah. I like I said, I don't know. I'm not necessarily saying that I'm completely bought in on this one. I was a big GI Joe fan when I was a kid. I think our age group we all were.
Right.
So it's cool to still see it, mainstreamed out into these movies all these years later. Um, when are we gonna get that Sergeant Slaughter movie
Oh,
though?
that would be fantastic. I would love to see Sergeant Slaughter show up in the movie. That's all I need. Even if it's just a stinger at the end, like Sergeant Slaughter just pops up and he walks in, he goes, "Hello, maggots."
Yep, yep,
You know,
that would be
like
great.
it'd be awesome.
So, all right, enough on GI Joe. This next one, Jungle Cruise, which I'd heard about this coming out, and you had made a comment on here about this movie being based on the famous Disney ride, which I'm pretty certain that's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Um, but the cool thing is this has pretty high star power here.
Yeah. So The Rock and Emily Blunt, and maybe I'm skipping over some others, but those are the two big ones that stuck out to me. And I was like, all right, well, let's see where this goes, man. This could be pretty decent.
Yeah, I'm a heck, we've talked about this off here before. The Rock is one of my all-time favorites. Um, you know, far beyond wrestling, but just acting in general. Just think he's hysterical, and in pretty much anything he does. So that this is a popcorn movie. That's where he's at these days. This is not necessarily going to be like, a fantastic like, oh, grip your seat like or laugh every 10 minute or every 2 minute type film. It's a popcorn movie. That's what this is. He knows it. It's going to sell tickets. He's going to make money, and hopefully, it's just half decent watch. That's about all you can expect.
We'd be remiss if we didn't mention the other big star in this movie, Paul Giamatti.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay, okay, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, man. I mean, I look at the cast and I look at what the movie is and what it's supposed to be, and I think it's going to be enjoyable. I'm not going to shell out the $30 or $35 or whatever it is to watch it on Disney Plus. If I had a bigger family, it'd be worth it. But more than likely, it'll be me and Peyton or me and Peyton and my dad going. Um, we'll go check it out. We'll go eat some popcorn. We'll go eat some pretzel nuggets and you know whatever candy we smuggle in via
That's right.
our cargo short pockets.
It's a good summer popcorn, cool off for a couple hours in the theater, and enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
No pun intended with Jungle Cruise, but let's move to the month of August.
Yes.
And you've got one on the top here. I'm going to let you talk about this one first, and then I will give you my take on it.
So this is where I feel like, obviously we have the heater that is Black Widow. This when I started making the list and when I had gotten to this point, this was one of the movies that I was most excited for. And that would be James Gunn's take on the Suicide Squad. Um, Such an amazing cast, so much to like. Um, King Shark, King Shark, and King Shark's played by none other than Sylvester Stallone. Um, dude, I cannot wait for this. The trailers have been outstanding. You got Peter Capaldi, you got John Cena, you got Idris Elba, you got Pete Davidson, you got um, the guy.
Will Smith's in it.
No, no, Will Smith's not in this one.
He's not in this one. He's not doing
No.
Deadshot in this one.
No, he's not doing that. No, Idris Elba, I believe, took over his spot.
Okay.
Um, unless I'm wrong, but anyway, I mean, huge, awesome cast. It's just, it looks amazing. And then one of the best things, and it's so dumb, but I laughed so friggin' hard, was it's got so Harley Quinn reprising her role, Margot Robbie.
Mm-hmm.
And in the trailer, the one part it's raining, and she goes, "I love the rain. It's like angels jizzing all over you or spooging all over you." But like, all right, so and this one's weird. Okay, Idris Elba plays Bloodsport, not Deadshot.
Okay.
But you've got some people that are coming over from the old ones, and some that are completely new. Oh, and Flula Borg's in it. So if you don't know who Flula Borg is, when you get done listening to this, or when you yourself get done recording this with me, look him up, especially his appearances on Conan, and he's amazing. He's fantastic. Michael Rooker's in it, and again, this was done by James Gunn. He got Taika Waititi, who is responsible for What We Do in the Shadows and Thor Ragnarok and the upcoming Thor Love and Thunder, and they're in it. So just everything about this movie screams awesome. Nathan Fillion, we finally get Nathan Fillion in a superhero movie. It just this is going to be one of my favorite movies of the year. It doesn't even matter how good or bad it is, and it blows away. From what I understand, there's that stupid Joker from the first one, nowhere to be seen. So
the Jared Leto
yeah,
Joker, yeah.
yeah,
And that was and that was some of the comments that I thought on here. I did not like that first iteration at all. The recent one from 5 years ago or so, whenever that was.
yeah.
I was not a fan of that one. However, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie I absolutely loved. I just thought that was just fantastic. I realize that this is not in the same vein, but I'm using that as my stick of, okay, maybe you can make a good DC movie again, because it's been hit or miss for years. Um, and I'm excited for this cast. I think it's um, just based on paper looks to be much better than that other Suicide Squad iteration we got. Um, I'm hoping this is good. It sounds good, like I said, on paper. I'm hoping it's actually a good movie. And I'm using, like I said, I know realize it's an unrelated movie, but kind of hoping in the same vein, just based on, the DC universe, if you will, that they have had some recent success, and hopefully this will be a rock star film, because I love a lot of these actors in this one, so I'm just really hoping that this is a good one.
Yeah. So what's funny is the next movie on our list also has Taika Waititi in it, and he's actually playing a lead role. He's the lead bad guy in the movie, and it's called Free Guy. So this one is a Ryan Reynolds vehicle. It actually has Alex Trebek in it too,
Wow.
which I'm super excited about that. I think that's going to be cool to see him. Sadly he passed away, um, lost his battle with cancer, but it'll be interesting to see him in this. So, do you know anything about this one?
No, not at all. In fact, I never even heard of it until you had threw this note down.
Okay.
But the sounds like it's a pretty cool one.
Yeah, so the whole theory or the whole deal with this one is Ryan Reynolds plays an NPC in a what looks like it's a massively multiplayer online like shooter, almost like GTA Online. Um, and he's just an NPC and goes about his business, and all the player characters go around and rob the banks and blow things up and do whatever, and he just goes about his life. And then one day somebody gives him these glasses, which it's very much in the vein of They Live, but they give him these glasses and he can see what the player characters see, and it gives him the ability to basically gives him free will, for lack of a better term.
Hmm.
And so Taika Waititi plays the head game developer who realizes what's going on, and this he puts a bounty out on him, and so it's basically Ryan Reynolds is a marked man in this game, and it becomes this big international thing, and people like news channels are following it and everything, and it becomes a huge competition to try and kill him. So, looks the trailers were really good, looks really fun. I'm definitely going to check it out. I don't know if I'll wait till it comes to streaming or if it'll be something I see in a theater, but one way or another, I'll be checking it out.
Yeah, no, it sounds cool. Again, I'm a big fan with anything Ryan Reynolds in it, and it's a cool concept. It's sound definitely sounds a bit different, and so all right, last one for August. You had Candyman, and like you, well, it's possible that I saw the first one, but it was a long, long, long time ago, and I have no recollection of it whatsoever. So you would, again, said that you had never saw the first one. Um, any thoughts on the Candyman here?
I'm I put it on here. This one I put on here more or less for you. I figured it would have been something you had seen based on your proclivity for horror movies. Um, I'm probably gonna skip it just based on the fact that I haven't seen the first one, um, and it's not something that really doesn't really appeal to me. But Jordan Peele wrote the screenplay, and he's been doing outstanding with his stuff. So it might be something that's worth checking out.
Yeah, no, and it's funny. It's very possible that I saw the original, but I think the original came out. Oh gosh,
It was like 92.
92. Yeah, yep, yep. So I may have seen it, when it hit, tape or something. I just don't recall much about it. So no, this is interesting. No, it's cool to kind of see again all these years later. Something that was, from whenever we were growing up, kind of back out there. But let's move to September. So go ahead. What's the first one in September? It looks like we have another Marvel movie coming.
Yeah, so September, I've got three big ones here. The first one being Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So for those of you not familiar, Shang-Chi, and I might be mispronouncing that. I'm trying my best. Um, he was an obscure Marvel character. He was popularizing, or he was meant to take advantage of the '70s kung fu craze that took over Hollywood and pop culture in general. And this looks like it really did a good job of taking what started out as kind of like a cliche, stereotypical kind of character and turning it into something really cool and really modern. And what will be really cool is it's actually going to feature the reveal of the real Mandarin. So you were just speaking about Iron Man 3, where we had the fake Mandarin played
Hmm.
by Ben Kingsley as Trevor Slattery.
Yep.
Um, and this is going to show the actual real Mandarin and show why the 10 rings are so dangerous.
Yeah, this was interesting. And it's funny. Sometimes these, like you said, this is an obscure Marvel character that is one of those that not everyone's going to know. I think it'll expose an audience to a much wider audience, this character, because you have, at this point, you have quite a big fan base that just, with kind of like the Marvel name on it, they're going to go see it. That part alone, I just think it's interesting in the sense that, you have this thing that they've, you've mentioned here, they modernized it for today. It, I think just because it's kind of under the radar, this isn't like watching, Captain America or an Iron Man movie. This is a bit different. So, hey, this is a real potential to be like a sleeper, really, really strong, comic book movie, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. I think this is, I think, going to make him into one of the breakout characters for the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm
I think
excited.
that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
I'm excited to see what they do with him and how everything plays out. Um, it's got some star power in it. It's got Aquafina, who she was in Crazy Rich Asians and some other movies, and it looks like I said, man, it looks really good. I'm excited for it. Um, just yet another awesome Marvel movie well, hopefully awesome Marvel movie. Hopefully they do the character justice, and I'm looking forward to seeing it.
So, okay, next one you have is the Many Saints of Newark, which is interesting because you have this kind of listed out as what it is, a prequel to a very, very, very famous and popular TV show.
Yes.
Um, this is set during the riots of the 1960s, and basically you have high tensions between Italian, American, African American communities, and you know just based on the name, you mentioned Italian American. This is a prequel for what show?
The Sopranos.
Ooh, yeah. So this one automatically is going to be given quite the quite the play on HBO Max, I would imagine, because The Sopranos was such a huge hit with so many people. I know that this has got to be on a lot of people's radars.
Yes. And one of the cool things is that, sadly, we lost James Gandolfini a few years ago, but his son is actually going to play him in this movie.
And that's super cool. I saw your note there and was like, that's awesome. Because I didn't know that part. So that's really cool.
Yeah. So that one I'm definitely looking forward to. It'll be on HBO Max. I may go see it in the theater. Um, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. It's so difficult at this point. Certain movies need to be seen on a big screen to be truly appreciated. That said, as much as I like going to the movies anymore with the way people behave in movie theaters, and at least the way they were behaving before, um, the pandemic, I can only imagine people are even loopier after not being able to go out and everything. So I can only imagine the people talking and using their cell phones and just being jackasses. Uh,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
this may be one I enjoy at home, so that I can try and actually focus on it. But I'm definitely gonna check it out when it comes out.
All right. One more movie in September. And is this about a snake?
It's maybe it might be about a black snake um that swallows an entire dude.
Oh yeah, this is another comic book movie. One of
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah, yeah.
favorite characters of all time, Venom. Let there be carnage. So
Yes.
go ahead on this one.
Oh, dude, I can't wait. So ever since the end of the original Venom movie, where we had Cletus Cassidy, we had Eddie Brock going to jail to talk to Cletus Cassidy, and Cletus Cassidy was none other than Woody Harrelson, and Woody Harrelson was wearing this awful red frizzy friggin' fright wig that made him look like Carrot Top. Um, it was a
That's a good way to
stinger at
put
the
it.
end. So not everybody, a lot of people I talked to had no idea this was even a thing, but it's a stinger at the end of the credits. Um, so it's not just Marvel themselves that do the scenes at the end of the credits, but they had him in there, and so I was super excited at the end of that movie. I was like, oh man, I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait. And now we're getting the payoff on that. And not only are we getting the payoff, but they fixed his hair. So he doesn't look like a reject from like a Cabbage Patch Kid thing. But I'm super excited about this. My only concern is I feel like the symbiote's getting a little too jokey.
Hmm.
Have you seen the trailers for this yet?
Not yet. Not yet.
So
No.
I highly recommend seeing it. It looks really good, and I'm not gonna lie. I like comedy mixed in with my superheroes. I do. I like comedy mixed in with most things that I watch, just because I'm a friggin' goofball. But certain things, the comedy just doesn't mesh well. And I'm not saying it didn't mesh well here. I'm just hoping that they don't go completely off the rails with it. And if you watch the trailer, you'll see what I'm talking about. There's a scene in the little shop that he goes into, which I guess after the whole, you know, the scene or the line about him being rolling down the street like a turd in the wind, maybe that was out the door to begin with from the first one. But this movie looks great. I can't wait. Um, super super excited. It came out on my birthday when Venom came out. It came out on my birthday. I went and saw it on my birthday with my dad and Peyton. Um, this will be out a little bit before my birthday this year, but still cool.
Yeah.
Early birthday present. I'm good with it.
There you go. All right. Jumping in October, and this one makes sense for an October release. The Adams Family 2. We're not talking about the Adams Family movies, the live action ones. Um, we're talking about an animated one.
Yes. Did you see
So
the first one?
I did not, and I love the Adams Family. The movies that came out in the '90s. Big fans of those. I remember watching reruns of the original TV show from the 1960s. So I was always a big fan of all that. I did not see the animated movie, so I have no frame of reference on that. I'd imagine it was probably pretty good.
So Charlize Theron was Morticia, and Oscar Isaac, who played Poe Dameron in the new Star Wars movies, was Gomez, and it looked really good. Again, I'm in the same camp as you. I love the originals, love the TV show. I actually have the Adams Family and Adams Family Values on DVD. I considered if I ever had a kid naming him Hubert, uh, but I mean that's never going to happen, so I don't have to worry about it. But anyway, it looks really good. I want to see the first one so that I can be caught up for this one, and I'm ready to get spooky, man.
So this next one you have is Dune. Now I've seen Dune. It's been a long, long time. So this definitely piqued my interest. And I'm gonna have to give this a look because I'm assuming that this is a rehash or a remake of some sorts because this doesn't have the sequel treatment to me. But the original Dune, if I'm not mistaken, came out in the '80s, '84. So it
Yeah.
was in that time frame of this really solid, amazing, kind of, movies that in that Back to the Future, Ghostbusters type that really, you know, you just had this really solid era of movies. Um, I'm curious to see what this one's gonna be like. Again, I don't have a frame of reference to kind of speak much to the original, but this is interesting. It's cool to kind of see. Once again, here's another one back from whenever we were growing up. Here's another one right back at you.
Yeah. So this one was so the original one came out in 2000, or excuse me, 1984.
Hmm.
There was a TV series that came out in 2000. Um, so just a quick look at the cast, because I know that our boy Sting was in, and not Sting the wrestler, but Sting the musician was in the first one. This one's got a very interesting cast. So just going through the top here, we've got Rebecca Ferguson, Zendaya, Batista, Timothy Chalamet, Jason Momoa, Josh Brolin, Javier Bardem, Stellan Skarsgård, and Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, it's that's pretty strong. I think it'll just the star power alone is going to draw some people in. So that's yeah, that's pretty that's a pretty good list of people there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be on HBO Max, so I'm feeling like it's something I'll watch. Um, if I remember correctly, the first one was really long, and maybe you can correct me on that if I'm incorrect.
No, you are absolutely correct. And I'll be honest with you, it's why I have not gone back in one of those movies that I just can't sit there and watch like that. I have to look up the original runtime because it is a long movie. I want to say it's like a 3 or 4 hour movie. Um, let me see. I can't find it off the top of my head. But yeah, no, you're not wrong. It is a very long movie. So I can't imagine that this one. Yeah, that it's about 2.5 hours the original. So for movies in this day and age to kind of get your keep your attention, 2.5 hours is pushing it. So
Yeah, so I'll probably let that one simmer a little bit, um, and I might see that on HBO Max because honestly I still haven't watched the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, so I probably should watch that before I watch the 8 hour Dune.
yeah, I know there's like a long, really long theatrical version of it or non-cut one of those deals. That's I want to say it was like 4 hours or something. But again, I'm thinking of things from years and years and years ago. So, all right, another good one for October though, kind of in the same vein of the Adams Family 2. We have another Hotel Transylvania movie. This one called Transformania. Um, I have seen the I haven't seen. I don't think I've seen every Hotel Transylvania, but I do recall watching the first one. And no, I agree. These aren't bad.
Yeah, not bad
Um,
for kids movies. Not quite to the uh, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and Despicable Me, and what was the other one? The How to Train Your Dragon. Those I feel like are kind of the pinnacle at this point right now, outside of Disney.
mhm.
Um, but it was the first one was entertaining. I don't really know too much about the second and third. I didn't really check them out. But I might give this one a shot. Interesting to me because, and I didn't realize it until just now. It looks like um, Adam Sandler stepped away from this one.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that tends to happen whenever you start getting into your third, fourth, fifth movies.
Mm. But this one returns most of the voice cast: Andy Samberg, Selena Gomez, Catherine Hahn, Steve Buscemi, David Spade, Keegan Michael Key. Even Fran Drescher and Jim Gaffigan are in it. Molly Shannon. She got a pretty star-studded cast. And this one, the idea is that they find a device that turns all of the monsters into humans. And
Yeah, that sounds pretty interesting.
so now here's the catch, though. It also turns all of the humans into monsters.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I saw your note there about that. And I was like, you know what, that sounds pretty interesting. Again, we're talking about a cartoon here, so it'll could go one way or the other. But I'd imagine it'd make for a fun kids movie. Again, not having seen anything really outside of the first one, I don't have much to say on it. But yeah, no, could be fun.
Yeah. So that one, having someone that's in the target demo for that movie, I'll probably at some point see it.
All
So
right.
let's move on to the next one. And this one is yet another birthday present to me from a giant company, and I appreciate it. And you can mail me a copy of it. This is No Time to Die. So the latest Bond movie.
Yeah, and it's cool. Another Daniel Craig Bond movie. The It amazes me. Every 2-3 years they just churn another one of these out, and they've been doing it for a long time. So cool to see that they've got another one here in the can and ready to go. Um, you know, uh, it, Unless you're talking about maybe a couple of the oddball Bond movies over the years, it's hard to find one that's just not enjoyable. They're great action movies. They always have some great dramatic things in there. But there's a little bit of humor spliced in. Always has the little catchy romance type stuff going on. So you got a little something for everybody in a Bond movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just
So I'm going to
not
out
much.
myself on this one though. I have to admit, the Daniel Craig versions of Bond, those have been the only ones that I've actually watched. I tried to go back and watch. Oh, which one was there? Was one I think Halle Berry was in it, and he gets in a car, and spikes come out of the car, out of the tires, and he drives the car up onto the ceiling of a cave that's covered in ice or some such nonsense. Um,
Oh yeah, Die Another Day.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Dude, that I couldn't get into it.
yeah.
Not.
And really to me, Pierce Brosnan, I was more of a fan of Goldeneye with him.
Yeah,
I attribute a lot of that to the game, but that to me that was my favorite Bond movie with him in it. My parents grew up, or I grew up with my parents watching, rewatching a lot of the Sean Connery and Roger Moore. And every once in a while, the Timothy Dalton one would come on. But I I can't say that I've seen all of them, but I've seen enough to know what I've liked over the years. And yeah, this should be a good one. And again, look, these movies are what they are, and I don't mean to be ill of this, but it's a good action popcorn movie. Don't, I can't necessarily say, yeah, it's got a little for everybody, but this isn't going to knock your socks off type film. So, I
right,
mean,
right, right.
all right. Again, we're still in October here, so we have quite a bit of a horror thing going. We've already talked the Adam's Family and Transylvania, Hotel Transylvania cartoons. Another Halloween movie, Halloween Kills.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is cool. You have a note on here about Jamie Lee Curtis returning, which I think is awesome. She's from the original, and then you also have Anthony Michael Hall, who was in Dexter, a very horror-driven show. He'll be in this. Um, uh, my take on this is this, though. Look, I just don't know how many times I could do Halloween. I really don't, because it's been done and redone so many times. And again, I'm not belittling the series or whoever's tried to do these movies. I just don't know how many times they could redo something with Michael Myers in it. And just
Right.
and I know what was it Rob Zombie had his Halloween take too. He did one.
Yep.
So
Did he only do one or did he do several?
he did well. I know he did at least one, and it's very possible he did more than one. But yeah, and that's where I lose track because there's been so many of these. I remember going to the theater and watching like the Halloween reboot like 20 or 25 years ago. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was just funny because it's been, kind of reintroduced every time. And then it's like, well, here's 7 more movies.
Right,
so,
right.
so what's your take? I mean, what do you think? I mean, I'm a big fan of the original Halloween, but then beyond that, it's kind of like, these are funny and they're not funny. They're fun to watch, but they're not going to be like the horror movies that I just
Um,
gravitate toward.
I don't know, man. It's the casting makes me think, okay, maybe. Um, but I've never been a big Halloween guy as far as from the movies. I love Halloween itself, but the movies I'm not huge on. It looks like we've got um let's see. We've got Judy Greer, who I'm a fan of. We've got Jamie Lee Curtis, Anthony Michael Hall. Why did I? Now that I'm seeing the picture, no, Anthony Michael Hall is not Dexter. He's what was that show? He's from that show where they had the detective that was a psychic.
Anthony Michael
It was
Hall.
on USA Network, but
Uh,
I
Anthony
can't remember
Michael.
what it was called.
I'm trying to think. Anthony Michael Hall, what he was in. Well, he has been in some horror stuff though. Dead Zone, Zombie Night, those things. Yeah, I don't know. But I know him from 16 Candles. Um,
Yeah.
he's
Oh
from
yeah.
that.
Obviously, he was
Me and
the
Breakfast Club and all that fun stuff.
yeah.
But you know, yeah, another one of those things where again, um, I'm just not a huge fan of them kind of rehashing the same thing over and over again, no matter who's in it. So I'll probably be out on this one. You know, it, but who knows? Might be decent. I don't know.
You know what? And the show was Dead Zone too. So there was the movie Dead Zone that he was in, and then there was the show Dead Zone.
Yeah,
And that was the one
yeah.
I was thinking of. That was on USA Network.
That's
Um,
okay. Okay. All right.
let's move on. Now that I've embarrassed myself and you by saying that.
Oh no, it's all good. It's another one of those late nights, and I'm just kind of reading what's in front of me. So, uh,
I take
San
full
Diego.
I take full responsibility for that. That was my fault. I put that in the notes, so that's not Tom.
Nah, it's all it's
Director
all
hating
good.
me.
It's all good. Hey, it'll make for a good soundbite for somebody.
Yeah, somebody be like, "Oh, listen to these fucking morons."
So go on to this next one though. This one sounds pretty
Yeah.
cool.
So this next one is called The Last Duel, and this is starring celebrity best friends Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. Insert the Matt Damon soundbite here. Um, and so what happens, and I don't know who's playing who, I don't know much about it, but basically King Arthur declares a duel between a knight and his squire. So this sounds, look, I like, you know, knights and all that good stuff, the round table, I'm into that. Let's see what this is about, man.
Yeah. No, I'm in on this one. I'm a huge Matt Damon fan. Everything that he's been in, and I guess Ben Affleck's okay too. No, I joke. I really admire a lot of the work that both of these guys have done. Um, so I'm in on this one. It's always still great to see these guys in a movie together, especially after all these years of doing different things, and it was funny though when I saw this, I was just like, man, I really hope Kevin Smith's involved in this somehow, some way. But
I'm not gonna lie. I did just go to the IMDb page to see if he's on it, but he's not. I was wrong. It's King Charles VI orders the duel.
got
Um,
it.
so I believe it's going to be Matt Damon is the knight, and Adam Driver is the squire. So
Yeah,
um,
could be interesting.
yeah, and then Ben Affleck actually plays the king.
King, that makes sense. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So it looks like a good cast, and so Ben Affleck and Matt Damon wrote the screenplay for it too.
So yeah, it should be a fun time. And like I said, I enjoy those guys. I enjoy the work that they do. Especially together. Gosh, it's been what they seems like they've showed up in different movies over the years and different projects for what, like I said, 25, almost going on 30 years now.
Right.
So it's cool. This next one though,
Yes. So
here we go again.
I'm all about this movie. I read your note that you'll be watching this one way or another, and I agree wholeheartedly. The next movie we're talking about is Jackass 4, aka the final Jackass movie. So every single one of these movies that's come out, I would imagine they thought was going to be the last one. Um, I've read an article recently, an interview with Knoxville, and he was like, "Dude, yeah, I just absolutely I can't afford to get another concussion. This is it. I'm done." So, you know, I'm feeling this will probably be the last one. Um, Really looking forward to it. The only downside that I see to it is, Bam, all anything he was going to be doing. I don't know if he actually filmed because there's been conflicting reports. Um, has been cut. He's out. Um, Now the reports say that it's because he didn't do the rehab stuff that he was supposed to do. He wouldn't stay off drugs while he was and drinking while he was doing it. Um, he says he did everything they asked him to do. So, you know, who knows where the truth lies, but in, in any event, I'm looking forward to this movie.
Yeah, I mean, you still have Knoxville, Steve-O, Chris Pontius. And you still have like Preston Lacey and some of these other guys that have been in this the entire time. And these
Wee
guys are
man.
doing, yeah, we man. Some of these guys have been together for a long, long, long time. So it's not like you have, yeah, we miss out, with Bam not being there, and there's a couple people that obviously Ryan Dunn after he passed away, that was many many years ago now, but a couple people that's just stepped away, like Brandon D. Camillo is another one that I was always a big fan of, but he just stepped away, he was
Right.
done with it. So there's people missing, obviously, whether they're here with us or not, but I'm a big Johnny Knoxville Pert fan. I know, and I have been, and it makes sense if this is going to be the last one. He's 50 years old.
Yeah.
It's funny. He's the bad grandpa, and he literally is getting to that point now. So,
Yeah.
but like, and I put a note on here. I'm such a Johnny Knoxville mark that I've watched Action Point twice, and it's very possible I've watched it 3 times. So, yeah, you know, it, I'm watching this. I'll find a way to watch it. Yeah, just looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I've watched Action Point, I believe 1.5 times because the first time I fell asleep and woke up, and so I went back and watched the parts that I missed. Um, Not because of the movie, the quality of the movie. It's just because I was friggin' exhausted when I started watching it.
Yeah, I only got into watching that because I was such a huge fan of the Action Park documentary that was on HBO Max. Which,
I
if you
still
haven't
need to
seen,
watch that.
yeah, highly recommend. All right, last one for October though.
Yeah.
I don't have much on this one. You have a little note here. Ron's Gone Wrong.
So this is another kids movie. It's an animated movie. Um, so now most kids have some kind of device like a phone or a tablet or anything like that, and it's kind of a sign of what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of like a status symbol almost, and everybody's just completely attached to it. It's almost like it's their best friend. Well, in this movie, instead of a phone, everybody has these little robots, and you can customize them and do whatever you want with them and whatever. Well, our main character gets one named Ron, and he's super glitchy. Um, I can't really describe most of the comedy is physical, um, but it looks pretty funny. Zach Galifianakis voices the robot. Um, it looks good, man. And Ed Helms is the dad. Justice Smith, who was in um, the he was in the Detective Pikachu movie. He's in it as well. Looks like it's got a decent cast. I'm into it. I'll probably be seeing it because I know Peyton's gonna want to see it. But it looks like kind of it's almost like Big Hero 6 without the hero stuff.
Right, right. No, that sounds cool. Again, I've got Tommy and Katie, so it's very possible that one comes down the pipeline. And we got 2 more months left of 2021 to talk about that. Let's jump in November, and we've got another Marvel movie up top here. What do you got
Yes.
on this one?
Okay. So the Eternals. So the Eternals, another super, super obscure um, cast of Marvel characters. It's got huge names attached. All right. So I'm going to run down some of them. Gemma Chan, Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, Richard Madden, Kit Harrington, Kumail Nanjiani, which God, I know I just butchered his name, but you'll know him when you see him. These are these are giant names for this movie. All right. My suit. So what's really cool in this, oh, you know what? And I buried the lead on this one. You know who else is in this one?
Who's that?
Oh, why can't I remember her name now? Now that I'm about to say her damn name, I can't remember it. Amelia Clark.
Oh, okay.
The Daenerys is in it. You've got Daenerys Targaryen. You've got Jon Snow, and you've got oh bloody hell, Stark, the other Stark boy, which I can't remember his damn name. Um, who did he play on Game of Thrones? You've got a very big Game of Thrones, Rob Stark. There we go. You've
Okay.
got a big Game of Thrones presence here. And Kit Harrington, who was Jon Snow, plays one of my all-time favorite, completely obscure Marvel characters in Dane Whitman, aka the Black Knight, um, wielder of the Ebony Blade. And what's cool is he actually, in the comic books, and I don't know how much of this is going to carry over, but he's got a bunch of retcons and power boosts, and it's made him into one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel universe. Um, so I'm super excited to see this. Basically, the Eternals are essentially humanoid. They're not robots, but they're these immortal characters, hence the name Eternals,
Hmm.
that live, forever, but they've become almost corrupted, and not corrupted in a bad way, but corrupted to the point where they don't really remember who they are, um, as far as what their purpose is and everything. And so they're living on Earth, and they've basically adopted these lives, and they've been living as amongst the humans as humans. And it shows where everything is, and then there's a big galactic threat, and they get awakened to who they are. Um, Now, Dane Whitman's not an Eternal; he's actually just a superhero. Well, he's just a human who ends up getting superhero powers. Um, he's not an Eternal himself, but it's cool that he's in this. I was really, really, really hoping that he would have been in Infinity War and could have crossed over with Tony Stark, because it would have been funny to see him, say, I'm Dane of House Whitman, and Tony to say, I'm Tony of House Stark, and then have that be a thing.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
That's just because I'm a friggin' nerd.
Yeah, that
Um,
would be cool. No, um, not much on that. I think you covered that one pretty well. Again, being a Marvel movie, I'm certainly gonna be on it. Whenever I get the opportunity. So no, it definitely sounds really cool, and looking forward to that one. This next one, though, for me, I'm looking forward to a ton. Ghostbusters Afterlife,
yes.
and mainly because to me, this is my understanding that this is the true, in the storyline sense, this was the Ghostbusters 3 that we should have had. And I'm not knocking the reboot from a few years ago, but I remember seeing that as far as the events go, they're basically ignoring anything that happened there.
Yes.
So the great thing about this is that you have so many people reprising their roles from the first two movies. Um, Bill Murray's back as Peter Venkman, Aykroyd's back as Ray Stantz, Ernie Hudson's Winston Zedmore, Sigourney Weaver's coming back as Dana Barrett, and you have Annie Potts playing Janine Melnitz. And then you also mentioned this in here that Paul Rudd's in this one, so that's kind of cool. I'm a big Paul Rudd fan, and unfortunately, Harold Ramis, passed away, so we don't have Egon, but we have a lot of family tie-ins here, so that should be kind of cool. And the other thing too, the one person I will say this that I know is missing, who's just now kind of getting back into acting after kind of staying out of it for 20 years, is Rick Moranis.
Yes.
And I'm really, really, really hoping that they do something, just anything, to get him in here for 10 seconds
Oh my
as
God,
Lewis, as Lewis.
I
Just
would
just
love.
something,
I
you know.
really hope that happens. My thing is this. This should be an awesome movie. This is a script and a screenplay and a treatment that's been bouncing around Hollywood since the mid 90s. And I wish it would have gotten made while Harold Ramis was still with us. But it kind of sets up the movie because I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but there's some scenes that I saw in the trailer that kind of lend to they take that into account, and his presence is definitely felt in the movie. Um,
Yes. Yep. Agreed.
and it looks outstanding. I can't wait for this movie. I'm super excited about it. And as an aside, did you see all the original Ghostbusters toys that are back in stores?
I haven't seen them in stores, but I actually saw a couple of articles kind of kick through, and I thought that was kind of neat. That showed a lot of the merchandise that was kind of back out there.
Yeah, so like the Ghost Popper, do you remember that?
I do. Yep.
That's
That's cool.
that's back in stores. Like the original, the real Ghostbusters toys, like the toilet ghost is back in stores. Richie actually has. I'm sure he still has a ton of them, but he's a huge Ghostbusters fan and had all. I remember him having all the toys when we were little, so I'm sure that he's loving this too.
I actually have on my bookshelf for my kids actually my real Ghostbusters pop up books.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and they go back 30 something years. So of course they're probably something that's worth like $500 a piece, and they're just sitting on a bookshelf
Yeah,
getting
well,
old. But anyway, all right. Speaking of movies from the 80s,
yeah, yes.
here we go. I'll let you do this one.
All right. So here we get Top Gun Maverick. And this is another one that's been bouncing around forever. You've been hearing rumors about it, and it's finally actually coming out. I've got to see it. It doesn't matter if it's good, doesn't matter if it's bad. I need to see it. We're bringing back Tom Cruise. We're bringing back Val Kilmer, um, bringing back Ed Harris. We've got a huge amount of returning people. We've also got Jennifer Connelly. We've got John Hamm. We've got Miles Teller. So
Yeah.
it looks like a good cast. Um, Not sure how the story's going to go. Um, I know that I'm going to have to put on my glasses of suspension of disbelief that I use when I watch wrestling, just due to the military nature of it and some of the things I know that I'm going to see that when I watched the original one as a kid, I was like, oh, that's so cool. But once I joined, I learned, oh, that's not how any of this works.
Right, right.
Stuff like that. So, but it looks like it should be a fun movie, if nothing else.
Yeah, and my only reservation on this was, and I really understand with timing and how things have been delayed and just how they want to need to release things. That to me, this had summer movie written all over it. But here we are with a November release. Whatever. I don't want to get into the why that is the way it is. Look, this movie could completely suck, and it might. I don't know, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah,
It's Top Gun. I mean, come on.
absolutely.
So the storyline can be terrible. The acting may be to the point where it's like, yeah, that was cool in 1985, but oh boy,
Right.
maybe certain things that they try to recreate, and it's like, oof, because you know how movies do that at times, especially
Oh
when you
yeah.
have this nice long hiatus between things. I don't necessarily see them doing, anything that campy or over the top. Popcorn movie for sure. I'm looking forward to it. Like you again, who isn't a Top Gun fan?
Right.
So, and it's cool to see everyone kind of reprise the roles, so that's always fun. Um, Looks like we have another one listed here for November, and then we'll close out this one with December. Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. Do you have anything on this one?
All right. So when I initially made this list, I had nothing on this. But I had to do some digging because I wanted to I've watched the other Resident Evil movies, most of them. I haven't seen them all because there's like 800 of them. But I wanted to do a little research and see what this was going to be because I had a feeling it was going to be animated. It is not. It's going to be live action. And apparently this is a reboot. So this is going to basically tell the events of Resident Evil 2. And
Okay.
so we've got Jill Valentine, we've got Claire Redfield, we've got Chris Redfield, Leon Kennedy, and we've got Albert Wesker, who Albert Wesker is the big bad. Now, when you see Albert Wesker in the game, there's an actor that I always thought that facially he looked like his facially and just his like the way he looked, I thought that he looked like an actor who brought somebody to mind, and that actor was Neil McDonough. So sadly, Neil McDonough is not playing him. He will be in the movie, but they got somebody that's a big dude as far as tall, and that I think will do a great job with this role, and that's Tom Hopper.
Hmm.
Are you familiar with that name at all?
It sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't recognize what he would have been in.
Okay, so Tom Hopper I first was introduced to him through um, Doctor Who.
Okay.
So he is actually he's been in quite a few things that you might have seen. He's been in. Have you ever seen the movie Terminator: Dark Fate?
You know what, that's the one Terminator movie I have not watched. I've
Okay,
watched everyone else, but have not watched that one.
all right. Have you seen Game of Thrones?
No.
Okay, he was in Game of Thrones. He was in I Feel Pretty with Amy Schumer, and he was in. Oh well, I did not know this. He was actually in another movie on this list, which was The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard,
Oh, okay.
and the one that you may have you seen The Umbrella Academy?
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm thinking you said Dark Fate. Yeah, I've seen Dark Fate. That was the most recent Terminator.
Yeah.
I've seen that. Okay.
Okay.
For whatever reason, you said Terminator Dark Fate, and I was thinking of the Christian Bale one.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. No. That's which was what, Genesis or something,
Yeah, I think it
or
was Genesis
Salvation, or no, whatever
or
it was.
Salvation. It was Salvation.
That yeah. Anyway, yeah, I've seen Dark Fate. Yeah, I don't know why I said that,
All
but
right.
yeah,
Have you seen Umbrella Academy?
no, have not.
Damn. Well, all right. So in Umbrella Academy, he plays um, Luther, who is basically the muscle and the leader, and he's just a giant dude. Um, in the comic books, his head was taken off of his body and sewn onto the body of a Martian gorilla, or Martian ape. In the comic book or in the show, he was injected with experimental blood, and it gave him a giant ape-like body. But he's a big dude. He's a real big dude. Um, so he's actually playing Albert Wesker. So I think he'll make a good, uh, you know, he'll be a good visually he'll play the character well. He'll be an intimidating presence on the screen.
Right.
So it's also starring Robbie Amell, who is the uh, cousin, I believe, of why can't I remember these people's names now? The guy that played Arrow on the Arrow series.
Oh, Stephen Amell? No.
Yes, you got it.
Yeah, Stephen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So that's his cousin, and he actually
Okay.
also played Firestorm in that show too. But so he's going to be in it, and it just looks really good. I'm definitely stoked about that
All right. So this brings us to December. We'll have 2 movies left. So why don't you take this first one, and then I'll do the last one there, and we'll close up shop on our remaining movies that are coming out for 2021. Not all, not of course we don't have time to list out every single movie. These are just
one.
the
Right.
big ticket items, if you will. So
So
for December, we have guess what? Another Marvel movie.
yes, and honestly, I think this one will end up hopefully being my favorite of the bunch. This is Spider-Man: No Way Home. So I thought this was coming out next year. I thought this was coming out around the same time as Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, based on rumors we have heard, because rumors have been flying around about this movie. We've heard so much different stuff, and the title brings up so much. The way the last one ended, if you haven't seen Far From Home, um, the last movie ends with J. Jonah Jameson reprising J.K. Simmons reprising his role as J. Jonah Jameson on the screens in Times Square with edited footage of the showdown that Spidey had with Mysterio at the end of the movie,
Hmm.
and showing him showing basically what looks like Spider-Man telling drones to attack and kill people. And then not only does he do that, he also outs Peter Parker as Spider-Man. Shows his picture, tells everyone his name. So it leaves things in a very interesting spot. So we're
Yeah, that definitely sounds interesting. I kind of like when they do that, when they, it's like, oh, here we go, here's your hero, and guess what? Because we've seen this over time with different comic book movies.
oh yeah.
And there's some very pretty famous instances of things like that happening to our heroes. So it's this should be a good one.
And some of the rumors about this, I don't know, have you heard many rumors about it?
No, no, I haven't really followed on this one, and I think because I was kind of like you, I didn't think this was coming out until next year, so
So there's
I
been
dismissed it honestly.
a lot of rumors, some substantiated, some unsubstantiated. And it really depends on the actor you talk to. But there's been talks that Tobey Maguire and that Andrew Garfield, both of their Spider-Man characters, show up in this movie. And not only is it their characters, but villains from their movies show up in this movie as well. One of which is Doc Ock's Alfred Molina, who has
Wow.
said that he was going to be in it, went through the process of them using the digital de-aging to make him look like he did in Spider-Man 2. Jamie Foxx has been confirmed to be in this movie. He played Electro in Amazing Spider-Man 2. So there's been a lot of talk about this, and some people are denying they're in it. Some people are just ignoring the questions. And of course, Alfred Molina just steered into it and was like, "Yeah, dude, I was in it, and this is how we did everything." So we'll see how that all plays out. But it should be interesting to say the very, very least.
Right. Yeah. No, that's cool. And yeah, actually, Alfred Molina is listed on the IMDb, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, we got one more movie here, The Matrix 4. Look, the original Matrix, one of my all-time favorite movies. It's up there. I love that movie. I didn't care for Reload It, and I didn't care for Revolutions. I've only given each of those one watch. I refuse to watch them again. Um, I kind of give it to me. I call it the Phantom Menace treatment, um, which is like my least favorite Star Wars ever. It's
Yeah.
just, yeah, I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, dude, I'm with you.
But I
Absolutely.
kind of give it that treatment where I will never even want to acknowledge that it exists. And I did that with those two movies. Lawrence Fishburne isn't in this one, so that's kind of like whatever. Because it's the Matrix, so anything can happen, right? I mean, that's the whole point of the movie.
Right.
So I was kind of hoping maybe he would pop up, reprising as Morpheus, but he's not in it. But we do have Keanu Reeves reprising his role as Neo at the top, and I'm hoping that this is more of a film that's kind of cut in the same vein as the original. We'll see. What's your take on The Matrix 4?
So this is another one that, I was surprised when they announced that it was coming out. Um, I'm I'm cautiously optimistic, I guess I'll say, for it. I really liked the first Matrix movie. I remember seeing it several times. I remember seeing it for the first time on spring break, or not spring break, senior trip in the big AMC theater in Disney World. Because yeah, that was a great way to spend senior trip. Um, was going to the movies, but we were idiots, so we went and saw a movie. But it was really good, man. And I'm like you, I with the sequels, I can't get into them. I saw them both in the theater, and I was there opening night for both of them, and I was just so let down. I just they didn't do it for me. So I'm hoping that this one kind of brings it back and just makes it enjoyable to watch again. Um,
Yeah, no, 100%. Big fan of the original. It's got to be, if I really were to sit out there and really kind of give a fine tooth comb as to my all time favorite movies, I would put that definitively in the top 20, possibly top 10. just because I was that much of a fan of it. I remember getting the DVD and rewatching it over and over and over and over again. Because at the time, I mean, and it wasn't just the visual effects, or any of that. You had just some really cool cast of characters in that outside of Neo. I mean, Hugo Weaving, Mr. Smith. It's ridiculous. I just absolutely love that movie. And so I don't know that you have as much of a um, you know blow me away with Matrix 4 now in the year 2021, but I firmly believe that it should be hopefully better than 2 and 3.
Yeah, I mean and it's a low bar, but that's really all I want out of it is please just be better than 2 and 3. Um,
Yeah. Yep.
so hopefully that's what we get, but we'll see.
So anyway, that wraps up all of our movies. Did you have anything else you wanted to kind of close up shop with?
That's all I've got, man. That's it. I'm looking forward to all these movies coming out. I'm gonna have to probably do some quote unquote homework and watch the first Adams Family animated and the Hitman's Bodyguard to kind of get ready for the new movies that are coming out. Aside from that, man, it looks like it's gonna be an action-packed year, no pun intended, for the rest of the year for these movies, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I mean, just for funsies, I might have to go back and rewatch all of the Jackass movies.
There you go. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So all right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us on the looking at the rest of the year and the movies that are coming out. And we hope you enjoyed it and have a great night.
Yep. We will see you later.